No one in the quiet mountain town expected the sky to split open that night, but it did, and Leora Hale felt the change before anyone else even looked up. She had always been the kind of woman who noticed subtle shifts, the soft tremor in the air before a storm, the tremble in someone's voice before they spoke their truth. But this felt different, as if the stars were holding their breath. And somewhere under those stars was Cade Ryan, the man she hadn't seen in almost 2 years, the man whose final look still lived in the back of her mind, glowing like an ember she couldn't put out. She stood outside the observatory at the edge of town, clutching her notebook to her chest as a warm rush of air swept across the hillside. The night felt alive, buzzing with something both familiar and strange. Leora blinked toward the glow rising above the tree line. That shouldn't be happening, she whispered to herself, trying to steady her breath. Just then, footsteps approached, steady, firm, and somehow known to her bones. She turned. Cade stood a few paces away, illuminated by the soft silver light pouring down from the sky. He looked older than she remembered, but not in a tired way, more in a carved-by-destiny way, as if the world had asked him hard questions and he'd found answers she couldn't even imagine. Their eyes met, and the moment felt heavier than the air around them. He took a slow step closer. "I didn't think you'd still come here," he said. Leora tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat, caught between surprise and something deeper she hadn't let herself name in years. "I never stopped coming," she finally murmured. "I couldn't." Cade's gaze softened in a way that almost knocked the breath from her lungs. That same look, the one he gave her that last night before he left without explanation, the look that said more than he'd ever spoken. She tore her eyes away for a second, grounding herself. "What is happening to the sky, Cade? That light, it's not natural." He let out a slow, steady exhale. "That's why I'm here. I came back because you need to know something." His voice shook, just slightly. "And because I wasn't ready for the way I'd look at you when I saw you again." The words drifted between them, warm and terrifying all at once. Leora felt her heart tighten, not with fear, but with recognition. "Cade, what does that mean?" Before he could answer, the glow above the tree line pulsed, once, twice, like a signal or a heartbeat. The ground beneath them vibrated, a gentle but unmistakable tremor. Cade grabbed her hand on instinct, and Leora didn't pull away. The sky brightened again, and she stared at him, confused and breathless. "Cade, what is that? And why do I feel like you already know?" He swallowed hard, hesitating. A storm of emotion flickered behind his eyes, as if he were fighting an impossible choice. "You're going to hear the truth tonight," he said. "But I need you to trust me first." Her fingers tightened around his, almost without her permission. "I do," she whispered. "I always have." The light surged again, thundering through the clouds with a deep, resonant hum. Cade's expression shifted, fear, hope, guilt, and something heartbreakingly sincere all blending into one. "There's something about that night I left," he said softly. "Something I should have told you before everything changed." Leora felt her breath catch. Before she could ask what he meant, the glow above them expanded suddenly, lighting up the entire hillside as if dawn had arrived hours early. Cade turned toward it with urgency. "It's starting," he said, "and you deserve to know why." Leora stared at him, her heart thundering louder than the hum in the sky. "What's starting?" she asked. Cade looked back at her, eyes full of a truth he hadn't yet spoken, a truth that felt ready to crack open the world between them. And in that moment, Leora realized nothing about this night was going to be simple. Nothing at all. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. The hillside glowed as if someone had pulled a second moon into the sky, washing everything in soft silver and pale gold. Leora felt the light brush her skin, warm and almost familiar, though she couldn't understand why. Cade kept her hand in his, steady and protective, his gaze fixed on the trembling horizon. Leora, before anything else happens, I need you to hear what I should have said years ago. A quiet wind rose, carrying the scent of pine and something metallic, something new. She swallowed hard. Then tell me, I've waited for so long. Cade looked away for a moment, as if gathering courage. He'd always been strong in a quiet way, the kind of man who carried burdens others never saw. But tonight, the weight in his eyes was unmistakable. When I left, he said slowly, I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because the light you're seeing now, it called me. Leora blinked. What do you mean, called you? He hesitated, searching her face, then pointed toward the shimmering sky. This isn't a natural event. It's not a meteor or a storm. It's a signal. The hum above them deepened, vibrating through the earth like a heartbeat. Leora shook her head softly. Cade, you're scaring me. What kind of signal, and why would it involve you? His grip on her hand tightened, warm and grounding. Do you remember the night I first brought you here? The night we saw that streak of blue across the sky? She nodded slowly, feeling the old memory settle over her like a blanket. You said it was the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen. He huffed a breath, half a smile, half aching truth. It wasn't just beautiful. It was a message, and I'd been waiting for it since I was a child. Her heart stilled. Cade, what are you talking about? He finally met her eyes fully, letting the truth rise between them. I wasn't born in this town. Not really. My earliest memories, they aren't from here. They're from somewhere beyond that light. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Leora stared at him, not confused, but stunned. Cade had always carried a quiet mystery, a sense of being slightly out of place, even when he was home. But this was a truth she never could have imagined. You're saying you're not? She couldn't finish the sentence. Cade's voice was gentle, steady. I'm saying I'm not entirely from here, and the night I left, that signal returned. I went to stop something that could have hurt the people in this valley, including you. Her breath trembled. Cade, why didn't you tell me? Why did you walk away without saying anything? He looked at her with a heartbreakingly honest expression. Because I knew that if I looked back, if I saw you one more time, I wouldn't have been able to leave at all. Leora felt her chest tighten, the memory of that night flooding back. The unanswered questions, the empty observatory steps, the way she had waited until dawn, hoping he'd change his mind. She took a shaky breath. You should have trusted me. I would have stood by you. I know, he whispered, and that's exactly why I couldn't drag you into danger. Another pulse of light rippled across the clouds, brighter than before. The hum grew louder, echoing through the valley like a warning. Leora's fear melted into something deeper, resolve. Cade, if this has returned, does that mean you're leaving again? He looked down, conflicted. I don't want to, but this signal, it means something is coming, something that changed everything the last time, and if I don't face it... You won't face it alone, she said, her voice trembling but firm. Cade's breath caught. Leora. She stepped closer, the storm of silver light casting both of them in a soft glow. I spent years wondering why you walked away. Now I know. And now you're here, so don't push me out again. He opened his mouth to speak, but the sky thundered, shaking the ground beneath their feet. A single streak of brilliant blue shot downward, carving across the clouds like a blade of light. Cade turned sharply toward it. "It's here," he whispered. Leora grabbed his arm. "What is? What does that mean?" He didn't answer. His expression said enough. Something was arriving, something he feared, and something tied to the reason he came back for her. The beam of blue light flared again, splitting into fragments that drifted like sparks toward the earth. And as they fell, Cade whispered one trembling truth. "This time, it's coming for both of us." The fragments of blue light drifted downward like glowing petals, scattering across the valley in slow, spiraling motions. Leora watched them fall with a mix of awe and dread. They were beautiful, too beautiful for something that carried so much weight in Cade's voice. The air warmed as one fragment floated close enough to touch. It shimmered like a tiny star, humming with a soft resonance that made the hair along her arms lift. Cade stepped in front of her. "Don't touch it," he said gently. "Not yet." She heard the strain in his voice, as if the sight of the fragments stirred memories he wished he could quiet. "Cade," she whispered, "what exactly do these lights mean?" He kept his eyes on the falling sparks. "They're scouts. The first sign that the passage between worlds is opening." Her pulse jumped. "Passage? Between worlds?" He nodded slowly. "I know how impossible it sounds, but when I was young, before I ever came to this town, the night sky wasn't just something we studied, it was something we traveled through." The words sank into her like stones dropping into deep water. Leora took a shaky breath. "So you're saying these beings, these signals, they know you?" "Yes," he said quietly, "and they know what I failed to do last time." She stepped beside him, refusing to let fear drag her backward. "Tell me what happened." Cade lowered his head for a moment, gathering the courage to speak. "There was a breach, a tear between worlds. My people sent me to investigate because I had lived among humans before. I knew how to blend in, but when the breach became unstable, there was no time to go back. I had to choose between returning home or staying here to protect the people in the valley." He paused, his voice tightening. "And I chose here. I chose you." Leora felt her heart tremble. "Cade, I never knew." "I didn't want you to carry the weight of it," he said. "You deserved a life untouched by all of this." The blue sparks floated closer, drifting like tiny lanterns. One brushed the ground and flickered out, leaving a faint ring of shimmering dust. Leora watched it fading. "It doesn't look threatening." "That's the danger," Cade murmured. "It always starts gentle, but when the main rift opens, everything changes." A quiet settled between them, broken only by the hum in the sky. Leora's voice softened. "When you say the rift opens, what does it actually do?" Cade's shoulders tensed. "It reaches for the strongest energy nearby. It tries to anchor itself to a living soul." She turned to him sharply. "Has that happened before?" "Yes." His voice dipped. "And that's why I left. I thought I could stop it from ever happening again." Leora felt a chill slide down her spine. And now it's happening anyway. He finally looked at her, and his eyes held a sorrow deeper than the night around them. "It's not supposed to be targeting you. I don't understand why it is." She blinked, startled. "Targeting me? Cade, why would it want me?" "That's what scares me," he whispered. Another flare lit the sky, brighter this time. The hillside trembled softly beneath their feet. The hum deepened into a distant rumble. Leora stepped closer, her voice steadying. "Then we need to figure it out, together." Cade looked torn, caught between fear and the instinct to protect her. "I don't want you anywhere near this. If the rift anchors to you—" Then you'll stop it, she said firmly, because you came back, and because you're not facing this alone anymore. His breath hitched, as if those words pulled at something raw inside him. Before he could answer, a fragment of blue light drifted directly toward Leora. It hovered inches from her chest, glowing brighter than the others. Cade reached for her, panic flickering across his face. Leora, step back. Before she could move, the fragment dissolved into her like a breath of warm air. Leora gasped, pressing a hand to her heart. It didn't hurt, it just... She stopped. Voices, soft, distant, echoing, brushed the edge of her mind. They weren't words exactly, more like tones, notes, a message carried on melody rather than language. Cade stared at her, eyes wide with fear and disbelief. No, that's not supposed to happen. She blinked, breathing unevenly, struggling to steady herself. Cade, I think it's trying to show me something. He shook his head, stepping closer. It shouldn't be able to reach you at all. Leora, listen to me. This means the rift isn't just opening, it's choosing. The hum in the sky surged, wrapping around them in a deep vibration. Leora looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. Cade, what does it want from me? His answer came not from certainty, but from fear. I think it wants you to cross. The sky flared again, brighter than before, and the hillside shook beneath their feet. The hillside trembled again, just enough to make the pine needles shiver. The blue glow above them pulsed in slow, steady waves, as if the sky itself had a heartbeat. Leora stood perfectly still, her hand pressed to her chest where the fragment had vanished. The echo of the strange melody still lingered beneath her skin, faint but unmistakably alive. Cade stepped closer, his voice low and urgent. Leora, look at me. Are you hurt? Dizzy? Anything? She met his gaze, shaking her head. I'm not hurt. I just feel different, like the world is louder than it was a moment ago. Cade exhaled, his worry deepening. I was afraid of this. The rift doesn't choose at random. It connects to someone who has something it needs. Leora frowned softly. But I'm no one special. I'm just... You're not just anything, he interrupted gently. You feel things others overlook. You notice the smallest shifts. Maybe that's why it reached for you first. She looked toward the shimmering sky. So it chose me? But why? Before Cade could answer, a new sound drifted through the air, a distant, hollow ringing, like glass being struck from somewhere far across the valley. Cade stiffened. That's the first breach opening. Leora swallowed. How long until it fully forms? He hesitated. Not long. Once the first breach stabilizes, the passage grows on its own, and when it reaches full strength, it will try to pull you through. Leora stepped back instinctively. Cade, I don't want to cross into another world. I know, he said softly, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. The sky pulsed again, this time with a deep shade of violet blending into the blue. The colors curled and twisted, forming a swirling shape that almost looked like an eye opening far above them. A cold shiver ran down Leora's spine. Cade, she whispered, was it like this the last time? He shook his head, his expression tightening. No. Last time, the rift was searching for energy, light, heat, movement, but this time, it seems to be searching for a person. She felt her breath tremble, and it found me. Cade stepped closer, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. I'm not going to let it take you. I made that mistake once, leaving without protecting the people I care about. I won't make it again. Leora searched his face, seeing a fierce resolve beneath the worry. Cade, what happens if someone crosses? Does the world on the other side hurt them? His eyes softened, with something like grief. Not exactly. But if the rift pulls you through without guidance, you'll be overwhelmed. The light there isn't like ours. It touches everything. Your memories, your emotions, even the way you breathe. She stared at him. You've been there. He nodded slowly. And I remember what it took to survive it. The wind shifted suddenly, a warm current spiraling upward from the valley floor. More blue fragments fell, swirling in patterns that seemed almost intentional, like they were mapping a path through the air. Leora watched them, unable to look away. It feels like it's calling me, she murmured. Cade's hand tightened on her shoulder. That's why you can't listen. The rift doesn't mean harm, but it doesn't understand fear or choice. It sees you as a bridge. Leora turned toward him, voice trembling. Then tell me what I'm supposed to do. Cade's jaw tensed. You stay by me, no matter what happens next. If the breach opens, I'll shield you, but I need you close. She nodded, the decision settling in her chest like a promise. I'm not leaving your side. A deep rumbling rolled across the valley, heavier than before. The swirling sky brightened until the trees cast long shadows across the hillside. The center of the glow twisted again, forming a thin, glowing line in the sky. Leora's breath hitched. That looks like a crack. Cade swallowed hard. That's exactly what it is. The crack widened slowly, spilling pale light downward like a waterfall. The blue fragments spiraled faster, gathering around the line as if drawn to it. Leora stepped closer to Cade, gripping his hand. What happens when it fully opens? His voice dropped to a whisper. The rift will try to claim whatever it has connected to, and since it touched you first. She tightened her grip on his hand, fear and determination tangling inside her. Cade, if it tries to pull me, what will you do? He looked at her with a fierce, unwavering promise in his eyes. I'll go in after you. No matter what, I won't lose you again. The crack in the sky widened, and a single beam of blinding light shot down toward them. The beam struck the hillside with a soft, trembling thud, bright but not destructive, spreading outward in a slow wave of shimmering light. Leora shielded her eyes, but even through her fingers she saw colors she had no names for, hues that shifted like living breath. Cade stepped in front of her, bracing himself as the air thickened around them. Stay behind me, he murmured. The rift is reaching. But Leora felt something different, something gentle pressing against her thoughts, like a hand tapping lightly on a closed door. It's not hurting me. It feels like it's searching. Cade turned halfway toward her, worry tightening his voice. That's how it begins. The rift doesn't force its way in. It invites, and once you let it inside, even a little, it won't let go. Leora looked past him toward the swirling crack in the sky. The beam connected the earth to the opening above like a silver column stretching across worlds. Within the light, shadows moved, soft shapes drifting like silhouettes behind a curtain. Cade, she said quietly, what if it's not trying to take me? What if it's trying to show me something? He shook his head. You don't understand how unforgiving it is. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel. It only seeks connection. But what if this time is different? She asked, her voice trembling. What if it chose me for a reason? Cade's expression tightened. That's exactly what scares me. The beam pulsed again, and the valley hummed with a low vibration that wrapped around them like a rising tide. The ground warmed beneath Leora's feet, and she felt the same soft melody from earlier drift through her mind, fuller now, like a song reaching its chorus. Leora pressed a hand to her heart. Cade, I'm hearing it again. He moved closer, gripping both her hands. Then listen to me instead. Stay right here. Stay with me. His voice shook on the last word. For a moment, everything inside her softened. The fear, the confusion, the pull of the rift blended with something deeper. The connection between them felt stronger than the light overhead, stronger than the trembling sky. "Cade," she whispered, "I'm not leaving you." The beam flickered suddenly, intensifying. A swirl of blue and violet wrapped around Leora's legs, then drifted upward like spiraling ribbons of wind. Cade pulled her closer. "No, not again. I won't let it happen." But the ribbons didn't tighten. They brushed her like warm water, then dissolved into the air. The melody in her mind softened into a whisper, gentle, almost grateful. Leora breathed out slowly. "I don't think it wants to take me. I think it wants to release something." Cade frowned. Release what? She looked at him, surprised by the certainty rising inside her. "You." The moment hung between them, heavy and still. Cade stepped back slightly. "Leora, I don't understand." She pointed toward the beam. "You told me the rift anchored to a living soul last time. You told me you survived it. But what if it never let go of you completely? What if it's been searching for you all these years, and it thought the only way to reach you was through me?" Cade froze. Leora continued, voice steady. "When that fragment touched me, I didn't feel pain. I felt recognition, like it was looking for something familiar. Your light, your imprint. Maybe it used me to find you again." Cade stared at the beam, breath unsteady. "So you're saying I'm the one it wants?" "I think," she said gently, "it wants you to finish what you started, to close whatever was left open, to stop running from the part of you that never truly belonged here." The wind shifted, carrying another soft pulse of warmth from the beam. It moved toward Cade this time, drifting around him like a slow embrace. Cade's eyes softened, with a conflict she could almost feel. "I came back to protect you," he whispered, "not to disappear again." "You're not disappearing," she said. "You're ending something that's been haunting you for years, and you're not doing it alone." He looked at her, his expression raw and open. "Leora, I don't know what waits on the other side. I don't know if I'll be able to return." She stepped forward, taking his hands. "You will, because you came back before, and because you're not the same man you were then. You found something here worth returning to." Cade swallowed hard, emotion tightening his voice. "You." She nodded, tears brimming. "Me." The beam pulsed again, one final steady thrum. Cade squeezed her hands, grounding himself in the moment. "If I go, if I close the rift, it ends tonight, all of it. And when it ends," she whispered, "you come home." He stared into her eyes, trust, fear, hope, and love all swirling beneath the surface, then slowly turned toward the beam. The light reached for him gently, wrapping around his arms, his shoulders, his silhouette. Leora held on until the last possible second. "I'll be waiting," she whispered. Cade gave her one final look, the look she had never been ready for, the one filled with quiet promises, and stepped into the light. The beam brightened, the crack in the sky glowed, and then, with a soft sigh, the rift closed. The valley fell silent, the sky returned to its midnight calm, and Leora stood beneath the stars, her heart steady, knowing that some journeys end, not in loss, but in finding a way back.